Hello, everyone. My name is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. And I brought on a fantastic panel of guests, and we're going to be discussing things about comics, indie comics, all kinds of stuff. But before we do that, please hit like, hit subscribe, tell everybody we're here. Please share out the show. And if you're in the chat, just please feel right in and just talk to us. And just to let you guys see it, tomorrow night or sometime tomorrow, these are going to go up on Indiegogo. This will be my latest campaign up on Indiegogo. All right. So without further ado, I will bring in my guests one at a time. First, I'm going to bring in my co-host. I know he's probably not prepared again, but, I'm going to bring him in anyway. Dude, there he is, Mr. Rosario. How are you?
Never prepared, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on, everybody? My name is JD Rosario. I've been publishing comic books under the imprint Unstoppable Comics since 2008, coming up with titles such as Storm Chasers, Shield of the Interceptor, Dragon Storm, amongst a few others. And I'm happy to be here tonight talking comics with everybody.
All right, cool. Duke. And we have the other JD on the panel, Mr. JD McPhee.
JD McPhee, yeah, the third JD. How's everybody going? I am Joe D. McPhee. I am the creator of Amazonia, AWF, and Primetime Saturday Night, and the president of the CGC Studios here. And I'm just here on the panel to bring whatever knowledge I can.
All right, cool. Next, we have Mr. Marvin.
Greetings and salutations. Marvin Wynn, writer of The Edge. This will be available in stores on March 24th. So, get down to your LCS and get you a copy. If they don't have it, threaten them.
There you go. Listen, they want cash. You just got to wave money at them. They should be able to get it.
That's it.
Mr. Damian Waldron.
Hello?
Jesus.
Yeah, no, right the first time.
Yeah, but it's like my 10th time.
My own grandfather didn't get my first name right till like a year before he died, so it's all good.
Gotcha.
Oh, man.
Sorry. I'm bringing the show down already. My bad. Would you like me to shut up and tell you about myself?
Yes.
My name's Damian Waldron. Artist for Day One Comics. We do comics. We're moving into some action figures, and we're trying to take the world by storm.
Nice. All right. So let's move on. Mr. Page, Alfred, how you doing?
Hello, everybody. My name is Alfred Page. I am the creator of Chess and Blowtorch, currently with Second Sight Publishing. The first issue will be in stores on August 7th, I believe. And we're just here to have a good time tonight.
Cool. All right. Mr. Evan.
Hi, folks. My name is Evan Posios. I am the writer and co-creator of the Weird War Tale Time Grunts, the supernatural gangster series Johnny Phantasm, and the thriller Silence, which will be published by Second Sight Studios this fall.
Cool. All right. Without further ado, Mr. Randy Zimmerman.
I do. Hey, everybody. I'm Randy Zimmerman. I'm a longtime independent and alternative comics publisher and producer, and I am currently working on bringing Arrow Comics 4.0 back out to the retailers and for crowdfunding. So all sorts of stuff coming up in the latter part of 2021. How's that for a Cliff Notes version?
There you go. Nice. All right. So tonight I thought we'd talk a little bit about change, right? Like, and I don't mean the change in your pocket. I mean, the change that, that we all have to go through as publishers, throughout the industry. One of the changes I'm going through recently is I have a long-standing artist that I work with on the Oswald Chronicles. I'm still working with her, and I'm going to be working with her for as long as she'll keep me. But I'm breaking in a new artist, and that's like a change for me. And it's just like sometimes I'm breaking in a new colorist, and I'm breaking in a new illustrator. Two of them, actually. And it's like kind of like sometimes you just want to reach through and just what's wrong with you? Just shake them. And then sometimes you just pat them on the back and do a great job, right? So on and so forth. So I'm dealing with it my way. Mr. Rosario, how do you deal with it?
I'm not the shake 'em up kind of guy. I'm like, I'll curse at somebody else first. But I guess the same way everybody else does. There's always that the growing pains you have when you're collaborating with somebody for the first time. If it doesn't work out, you move on to somebody else and you go through that growing pain process again. You can't be scared of doing that. And who knows, you may learn something that you didn't know working with somebody new.
True. Mr. McPhee?
I mean, working with other people, it's like you have to be willing to compromise. You have to be willing to, not have everything go your way and have it always be your way, because everybody brings something to the table. And you never will know what the best somebody could offer until you put everything out there in such a way where they feel comfortable enough to go all out. So you have to be very willing to hear them out and not always be beholden to the way that you constantly do things. So you have to be open-minded and just let things fall the way that it falls.
Cool. Marvin?
Well, I think Joe has the right idea about being open-minded, but I think sometimes when you feel have a rapport with someone, like I have with Mark, where I don't ever question what he's bringing up to the table. Like I said before, like we're working on issue 14. I think I've had to change one thing in all the time we've been working together. So I think it's hard to being on another artist and you see the kind of changes they think they want to make, or it doesn't match what you already have. So sometimes you have to jump in there and say, hey, you have to change this or change that. But I mean, sometimes that could ruin a relationship too, because if you're continuously having to tell someone to change something, they're probably like, well, I don't think this is working. So they might walk away.
Right. True. Damien?
Well, whenever I'm in charge, I try to collaborate more than anything. Right. Like I always try to keep it 50-50 if I can. I like working with people. I don't like to be alpha necessarily, but I can be if I have to be. Beyond that, I do everything myself for my stuff. So it's rare that I ever have to really deal with it, to be honest. Right now I am working with another artist for like a little preview thing I'm working on. I try to find people that, either I've given them a little bit of stuff to work with and they've hit the mark every time, and then we move forward on something bigger. But again, I most of everything I end up doing myself. So I just try to collaborate when I can, and if I can't, I move on if I have to.
Gotcha. Alfred?
Yeah, well, I've been lucky enough to kind of stick with the same artist throughout Chess and Blowtorch. William Rez has been the artist on Chess for issue 2 to now. I just try to stick with the same people. It gets hard and difficult when you gotta keep changing artists and getting somebody else used to your characters all over again and all over again, and repeating the same process. So I like to try to stick with artists that got the characters the way I like them, and they can continue throughout the rest of the issues.
Glenn is going to bed. Thanks for showing up, Glenn.
Good night, Glenn.
Good night,
Glenn's had a long day.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, he's 6 hours ahead of us. Jesus.
Yeah.
Evan, how do you deal with it, man? Because I know you got a lot of projects rolling.
I do. And I was lucky enough to work with, Alex Sanchez, somebody who's worked for Marvel and DC right out of the gate. So he sort of taught me the ropes. But I think, like anything, research is key. Before you even enter into a creative process, doing your homework and seeing, the style of art that you're looking for a certain story is important. And then also maybe doing some vetting, talking to people who have worked with the artist is helpful. And then remembering that it's a collaborative process, not handcuffing the artist, and, knowing who you can work with in a Marvel style and maybe who you need to write a full script for. Those are some things. And also, let's be honest, paying artists on time, is always helpful. And I think, helps your reputation and helps you sort of climb up the ladder in terms of the talent you can, retain.
Mm-hmm. True. Randy?
I'm just getting back into this.
Mm-hmm.
I've had 10 years where I've been working on my paper, and 2 years working with Indy Volt, and now I'm restarting Arrow Comics, and I've got a couple of projects already underway. I do have to be the alpha because I've got a vision for these characters, but I try not to work with anybody that I don't get totally excited over. I mean, you find somebody that when you send them a character drawing and it comes back 10 times better, and you just sit there and you go, oh, dude, I can't wait. Or you're going to get a script and this is going to be incredible. You know, I've got a working with an artist right now that has done that to me consistently, to the point where I'm like going, not only am I going to pay you by the page, I'm going to pay you a bonus for turning stuff in on time, and I'm going to give you a percentage of this property because you have taken what I thought I saw and showed me better. And that's really important to me. Yeah, I have to stay excited about this project in order to make sure I stay on time, to make sure they stay on time. So that's I haven't been excited like this in a long time about working on a book. So it's awesome.
All right, nice. All right. Should I pass it on to the co-host?
Nice.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Unlike last week, we caught off guard. I am prepared.
Nice. Go for it.
No notes, but I'm prepared. Okay.
Go for it. I'm gonna go in the back and take a nap. No, I'm
all right, guys. With the introduction of crowdfunding, it ushered in a brand new era for independent self-publishers like ourselves. Right? Gave us exposure on levels that we had never seen before. That I don't know if it's hitting its crest or not, but you have platforms like Kickstarter. You're dropping maybe about 200 projects getting released on a monthly basis, right? What are you doing to prepare for yourself for the day when there is no more crowdfunding? Mm-hmm. There's no right or wrong answer to this. I don't have anything specific, to combat this, but I want to hear what you guys think about. Technology is always changing, right? Kickstarter itself, it's I think maybe 10 years old, a little bit more than 10 years old, right? So there's going to come a day when that's gone, or when the next platform is out there. So what are you doing to prepare yourself for that eventuality?
All right, the man to your other side.
To my other side. Why not? Why we can't start with you? We can't start with you.
Oh yeah, okay. I'll start.
You never answer the questions first on your own show. Let's go.
Yeah.
The guy to that side.
All right, fine. That's fine. All right. So for myself, is it's basic. It's building a mailing list where you can stay in touch with your fan base. You understand? So you're always in touch with them. You're constantly sending out at least one newsletter a month, so then that way you're at least in touch with everyone, so that, and you're constantly building that fan base, especially off of Kickstarter or Indiegogo or wherever, so that you're constantly, so if those platforms do disappear, you're still in touch with these people, because I'm selling books to people in New Zealand, and how would I ever get in touch with them any other way than my mailing list, So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Other than that, I'm just prepared for tears.
As in crying tears or
yes,
crowdfunding tears?
No, as in crying tears. It's going to go away.
Okay. What tears are you setting up for when this stuff is over?
Oh, I'm ready to cry when it's done. I was like, no, it's been so good to me.
You're in the comic business, son. You should always be ready for tears.
Exactly.
Joe, how are you getting ready for that day?
Actually, I have already spoken about this. I'm the one that believes in multiple revenue streams. So if crowdfunding dries up, I still got an online store. I still got Comixology. I still got all of these other means, distribution through Liberty. I got other means to get my books out there. And kind of like what JD said, I have my mailing list. I can always tell people, it's like, hey, crowdfunding's dead, but you can still get our books over here, over here, over here, over here. And when I advertise, I'm not just saying, when we do our Kickstarters or our crowdfunding, after that's over, I said, here, if you missed it, you can still get it at our comic book store. You can get it at Comixology. You can get it over here. You can get it over there. Never be beholden to one platform only. Always be multi-tiered. Well, I shouldn't say multi-tiered, but be multi-platform in the sense of having multiple revenue streams where you're not beholden to one.
Right. Cool.
Marvin, so I think that's where it comes into play, where you're building not only a fan base, but relationships, not only with your retailers, with your customers, but then, do you have to go and say that we need to look into big box like Walmart or grocery stores or back to newsstands. Like what's the ultimate goal and ultimate plan? If one stream dries up and you don't have another stream, you're dead in the water. You're just going to stand there, you're just going to drown. So is newsstand can newsstand be viable again? Because I know that I've been talking with a newsstand distributor, but it just doesn't seem like at this point in time that it's viable to me.
Mm-hmm.
There's too many factors at play with them being able to send back books with the cover torn off, and then there's no guarantee sales there.
Right. Yeah, Peter Sabetti has a huge history with that, and it did not go well.
Really? Okay.
So, oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well,
David,
I mean, that could be a whole nother show where we can. I could give you all the information because I got the contracts.
Let's please. Can I get on that wagon?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'll give you the stuff I have. I'm happy to send it to you.
Damien, Marvin is a great source of information. For those of you who don't know Marvin.
Yeah, man. Amen to that.
This for a while. Where do you stand on this, Damien?
All the above. Everything. I mean, everybody's already said most of what I already know. I also try to keep an eye on like emerging technology.
Okay.
There is Comixology and there are, but if you look at like mainstream comic apps, they're simple. It's something you can recreate on a website. Mirror it to an app, put it on. For a couple $100, put it on Apple, put it on Google Play. And so you have a direct line literally to a device someone has in their hand that you can just, hey, this new book's coming out. You can I hope to, and I'm already in the planning stages of developing an app for myself so that the book I'm working on, and I have a couple other people that I'm talking to about working together to do this app so that we can just have that main line of not only distribution but of information, directly to the people, right in their hand. Because I think since that is where everything is at and is moving towards, it's a good way to go.
Okay, Mr. Page, talk to me, brother.
Yeah, I'm going to extend on what JD said. It's about having access to your fans and your fans having access to you with the websites and stuff like that. So. I mean, I'm not as Kickstarter savvy as everybody else here. Actually planning on one this summer, so I will learn how it goes. But this is the same, like what he says, just having other ways that your fans can get to you, and you can keep that communication open. So,
all right, Evan, how do you see it?
I think just continuing to brand yourself and your properties is one of the best things you can do. But also not, sort of like JD McPhee said, dipping, your toes in as many, pools as possible. Yeah. As you get published, that helps your crowdfunding. As your crowdfunding succeeds, that helps you land, a title with a publisher, and it's sort of, a zigzag ladder upwards.
Yeah.
And the elder statesman of the group, sir?
The elder, you're picking on my age again, aren't you? Hey, I ain't that old. Anyway, this is not that.
I think you were the
not an ageist
one.
Industry. I'm just telling you.
You were the youngest one on your show this morning, weren't you?
Oh, almost. Yeah. And thanks for listening. It was a hell of a program. We really loved it. The key here is to remember that we are alternative and we're independent. The JD's jumping off because he's sensing I'm going to get on a soapbox. It's up to us. It's up to us. Marvel and DC are at a point right now, they don't care about what they're printing. That's really obvious and has been for the last 4 or 5 years because they are printing crap. They have dragged this industry down along with Diamond to a point where it's susceptible for us to now step up and make a living. And that's what we need to do. And the big thing here is to definitely do what JD McPhee says. We have to distinguish which JD. JD McPhee says, and to keep ourselves more than available to multiple revenue streams. But the big thing to remember is Comixology is owned by who? Amazon. Amazon has gone through and changed their rules so many times in order to screw the little guy. You cannot depend on Comixology. Kickstarter's gone through, and have they ever changed their rules for the little guy? I know they had a gatekeeper there for a while, and you know that they seem to be really screwy in parts. You can't depend on Kickstarter. You can't depend on crowdfunding. I don't think there's an end to crowdfunding, at least for another decade and maybe more. But it's important for us in the industry that we're in the section that we're in, to get outside of that damn box and to remember we don't have to look like Marvel and DC product. We just have to do great comics. We don't have to go strictly through the retail stores, but they need help to survive, because that's how people find comics most of the time. We need to go out there and start thinking outside of that box, because we're at that point, and I mean we as a alternative and independent comics industry, to be able to do that and not take a hard hit. These guys up in their high towers, they're stuck in their ways. Diamond's literally castrated this industry for the last 30 years. Now Diamond ain't so stable. Kickstarter's done the same thing for years. They're not so stable. If it wasn't for Todd McFarlane, if it wasn't for Keanu Reeves, they wouldn't be able to look as good, and this bug, which enabled a lot of people to sit down and work on projects. They wouldn't be in the position that they're in, and they're not going to be in this position in a couple of years. They are on shaky ground. Indiegogo is growing. Kickstarter is they want to say that they're growing, but they had a couple of projects that were really, really big that boosted their numbers. Now, how does that number look? That's what everybody has to consider. Plus, like I said, we're alternative, and we need to be an alternative choice. We need to start going out and looking at, like, getting into dollar stores, like getting into other retail shops, like into just busting this wide open. Where there's a will, there's a way. I did a newspaper for 10 years because I was fed up with the direct market and dealing with Diamond. I did my own little entertainment paper that I was advertiser supported, and there was a little while there I was actually making an okay profit, to the point where I was starting to think I could actually live on this thing. Unfortunately, I live just 2 miles south of the leaded water line of Flint, Michigan. And my area was Flint, and all of our advertising dollars dried up. No pun intended. As soon as the problems hit, and right now the mom and pop stores advertising dollar is definitely dried up because of all of the restrictions that they've had to be under for the last year. But there's going to be a different time. And we have to be out there and open-minded enough to go out there and take advantage as often as we can and promote this art form to as many people as will listen, as a viable form of entertainment. Because we're all seeing the entertainment out there is getting worse. Movies are having a hard time surviving. The streaming services are ticking people off every chance they get. We are at a point where we can go out and start entertaining folks and actually be a viable industry and make a living off of this. Back in the 80s and 90s, we really had to hump and not be so lucky and work within systems that are now have broken down, and it's time for us to find new ones.
All right. There you go. All right, cool.
There you go.
Yeah. My next question kind of feeds off of what Mr. Rosario asked. So here's a hypothetical. If for some reason print became no longer viable, meaning it's just, you just can't do it. It's just way too expensive. You just can't do it, right? Because we have POD, but let's say all that stuff was a dry up, right? What would you do, or would you be willing to move over and start doing things like either web comics or webtoons or tapas, right? You know, those platforms which are up and coming. You know, they say they got millions of people watching these things. You know, or would you want to do something else? And I'll answer this question first for Mr. Rosario before I pass it on. I know for myself, I would go back to writing prose, right? So that's what I would go back to doing. So, you know, we'll move it on over to Mr. Marvin because he's next.
I mean, whatever is viable, I mean, you have to go with. I mean, if digital comics are going to be a viability. So what about the crypto way of doing it then? Because now you've got people out here selling digital art for billions of dollars or millions of dollars. So is that an option? Do you go the crypto route and still be able to make something that is viable and also limited? So you've got only a certain number amount of this crypto you can give away, and people can trade and do whatever they want with that also.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
True. That's it. There's the next one right there. Next week. That's gonna be the next tier. So my next tier tomorrow night on.
Well, you see, DC already shut it down. So
yes, I was going to say that. Yep.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, I don't know about it.
They sat there when Jose made how much money? Oh, we got to stop that. No, that can't happen. No.
So they said they're working on their own version of this this crypto thing. And they told all the artists to not even get into it or else.
Yep.
Wow.
So Marvel's going in the same direction. Marvel's already announced something somewhere about doing something similar. You know, it's crazy.
Yep.
And I've even heard talk of them talking about how they want in on like private commissions. So if an artist is doing a piece of Spider-Man, they want a piece of that.
Oh, that's crazy.
You know,
good luck trying to enforce that.
Yeah.
yeah, but you got to understand though, all of it's but what's gonna happen is it's all gonna go black market, right?
Yeah.
If you got because you got people with websites, you want a character, this and this is what I charge. All of it has to go black market, and you can't put any of it on the open market. Because if they got people that are gonna track this, they're gonna track it. You know, all they need is 2 or 3 guys that they hire. This is your job. Track this stuff. You know how many people they're gonna pop on a daily basis? Woof.
They just need an algorithm. They don't even need guys. They just put the algorithm out. They run the internet through it, and there you go.
Yep, exactly. All right. Anyway, getting back to this question, Damien, how would you work it?
I already plan on being half print, half digital anyway, so it would be an easy move. I would a digital book at $4.99. Yeah, let's just use the mainstream model that doesn't seem to make any sense to me. $4.99 for 22 pages versus $4.99 for 22 real pages. I'm gonna go buy the real book. But with a digital model and with being an alternative to the mainstream, we have the capacity to do it a little cheaper, and do maybe a $2 book or something like that. I'd just not print. I mean, drawing, creating, making comics is in my blood, and I'd be doing it if I had to get a stick and dig it in the dirt.
Yep.
So I just
I hear you.
Or move to whatever.
Yeah, that's about it.
Now, let me ask you a question, because I don't know if you've ever seen the way Tapas and Webtoons does it, where it's like the eternal scroll. Yeah. So it's a little different than laying out something on a comic page, the way we're used to doing it. Because I had this conversation with Eric Hodson the other night. I did an interview with him, and it's interesting to see the differences in the way you have to format a page, as opposed to the eternal scroll, and the way a comic page is laid out. So I mean, do you think you can make that adjustment?
Oh, absolutely. I use Clip Studio, and they have built-in Webtoon. You just go to Webtoon, it pulls it up, and you just draw.
Thanks, John. That's the youngest comment I've heard in a long time. Thank you.
There you go. But now we can go to this.
Eternity boys.
Now we don't look so crowded, but
there we go.
I kind of like this though.
I like the phone booth look. Thank you, John.
Exactly.
Like the Brady Bunch.
Right. Exactly. Alfred, how do you feel about it, man? Would you be able to make those adjustments? Would you want to make those adjustments?
Yeah, I mean, the money you're going to save off printing, you just invest someplace else to fit the market. So like an app or something like that. For a digital reader or something like for tablets and all these other machines out there that's available. I mean, the money you're going to save on print, just reinvest into what the next big thing is, how else you reach your fans. I mean, you're going to save a lot of money off the print as it is by itself. So.
Right. All right, cool.
No.
Mr. Evan, what are your thoughts?
I'm old school. I think, print is part of the art form,
Yeah.
Are about being printed, and you've got a variety going from sort of newsprint style that maybe I remember when I was a kid, all the way to the enlarged zines. The Creeps magazine does a great job with that, actually. And then you've got your sort of high-end collected editions, trades, and whatnot. So a little bit of something for everybody. I don't think it will ever go away. That's just part of what comics are.
Yeah, right. I'm big in prints myself, so.
Hey, listen, I'm hoping along your lines. Like I said, it's a hypothetical. What if it were to disappear? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If for some reason we weren't able to do it.
It'd be a hard day because I love collecting my prints, man. I'm a big collector of Kickstarters, and I read them often, so.
It's like the zombie apocalypse, It's a hypothetical.
So we saw the other day that there's a lot of companies that are doing digital trading cards now too, and people can trade them through the app and everything.
Still can't slab them.
So. Well, that would be Pogs then, because are Pogs coming back?
Everything comes back at some point.
Fun caps,
exactly.
Depending on where you're at, but yeah, the Pogs.
The Pogs, Jesus. All right, Randy, how would you deal with it?
Well, I'm thinking out of the box. I got two words for you at the risk of sounding like the crazy old guy here, and that is Carrington Event. Look it up. You go back, and how much longer is the net going to survive? All we need is a really small EMP, and everything that's digital is gone.
Right.
And the infrastructure for power, especially around here. I mean, I'm from Flint. We learned how good the water structure was real quick. And the sun is getting more active, and it's about to hit a really hard active spot. Our magnetic field is weakened to the point where one good little spit from the sun and everything is fried, and we're all back to print again using the old style presses with the big turns and the big plates that come down and press once, and you pull it off and fold it, and you might be lucky to staple it and send it on your way. So I think that we should always be looking at print, period. And that if somebody comes up with a great way to make money, this NFT thing is going to be corporate owned just like that, because there's too much money being exchanged. And the net is owned, quite honestly. And again, I'm sorry if I come off as the crazy one. The net is owned by too many corporations. How's the little guy going to make it? As soon as the little guy starts stepping up, he's going to get squashed. It's the way it works. It's the way it's always worked. I've seen it with Amazon. I've seen it with eBay. I've seen it with so many other of these larger sites out there. As soon as it looks like you're making some money, especially if you're a smaller guy, they will up the rules. Even Patreon's tried to do that in the past, and they're going to do it again within the next year or so. And we all need to be ready for that. Again, we have to start thinking out of the box and away from this, and finding ways of doing, just like what JD McPhee said, finding as many multiple revenue streams as we can get our hands on, and have as many little side hustles as we possibly can. Yep. And in order to more than make a living at doing this, because somebody out there, and I'm a big fan of comics history, and every time, and I say this repeatedly, anytime in this business somebody really gets screwed hard, somebody turns around, figures out how to jump right over them and make money. And it's usually a little guy. And this is, and it's going to happen every time something happens. This art form is going to survive because nobody can argue with words and pictures. Even if they have to carve it in stone on the side of a mountain, you're still going to have pictures.
Yep.
And we need to start thinking, honestly, beyond digital, because it might not be around much longer.
There you go. All right. And listen, John agrees with you. He's older than you are.
I agree. He's older than me, too. Love you, John. I do.
Mr. Rosario, you're up.
I'm agreeing with most of the people. The same print is not going to die. I mean, look at this. When it comes to newspapers and magazines, they've always said that the internet was going to push that to the side. And you still see papers getting printed. You still see magazines getting printed. Comic books have been around all the way back since, the dime store novels. that was the Cro-Magnon comic book, I guess.
Cro-Magnon Comics. Yeah, there you go.
Name.
But I can't see digital fully taking over. I can't. I mean, what was it? Randy, you brought this up a few times. Stan Lee is always talking about, comic books are like boobs.
Yeah, it's a classic quote from him. Yeah, they asked him how he felt about digital comics. He said, comics are like booze. They're great to look at on the computer, but it's even better to hold one in your hand.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah, I really read comic books on digital platforms. So
Yeah. Now, before I skip by him, Mr. McPhee, how do you feel about it? Because he always complains I always skip.
Again, I was staying up here thinking, it's like, Randy, remember how you said that you're going to be the crazy one out of the bunch here?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh, he's going to out crazy you.
Hold my beer. We're talking so much about digital, but we have to understand that a lot of things that we do to make a digital comic is nothing more but tools. There's certain, as tools come and go, they also get surpassed and redone and reformatted. But there's certain tools that never go out of play. Pencil and paper would never go out of play, no matter what.
Right.
So,
Right.
like Randy said, if there's an EMP post that's out there, those who have like the original content, the Bristol boards from where they originally started from, can still produce no matter what. It's not going to be a complete removal of print. What it's going to be is a transition. Now, how I would deal with this is this. If digital came and was staying, I would be making the move to be like, you know what? You want my comics? You want to come to my platform. I'm going to control who does X, Y, and Z. I'm going to start cutting out the middlemen of webtoons, Comixology, and everything. You want a CGC Studios comic? You're going to come to our platform. You're going to be able to read it on our platform. You're going to be able to buy it directly from us. Now, if those other entities are still in business and they're willing to play ball, yes, we will do the licensing to them. They could sell it as well. But no, I have seen, as of right now, like places like Zebra Comics and everything that have built their own digital platforms where people could go out to their site, buy it, and read it. And they have full access to it. As long as the big EMP post doesn't hit, they have a means to get to their comics at any given time on any electronic device. That's the move that we have to make here.
All right. That's cool.
Well said. Well said.
Yep. Mr. Rosario, it's in your court again.
Okay. Negative stuff aside, let's put away the EMP polls. Let's put away print dying for a second. Let's jump off of what Joe was saying. The next delivery method. Let's go beyond digital. How would you like to see the comic storytelling narrative presented in the future? Like, for argument's sake, I would have loved to see how VR or AR capitalizes on the comic book world, and maybe you can treat it kind of like an old RPG game where, the background characters, if you got the virtual reality lenses on, you could tap on them and maybe they'll say something that can add to the narrative. So what do you feel, or what would you like to see the next, or hope to see the next delivery method of comic books be?
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, you just said change, JD. I did my work, bro. I came up with questions of change.
All right. Well, see, the thing is that, I'm old too. So I like my printed books just the way they are.
Yeah. Whoa.
Because you go into VR, now we're talking video games. You're not talking about a comic book anymore.
Yeah, right. You're going to animation and video game stuff,
Right.
So.
You're talking into, you're talking about that sort of thing.
Right.
So,
But
for me,
let's say for argument's sake, you got what's that game with the little monsters? The AR game on your phone.
I don't play video games.
The Japanese thing, the Pokemon thing. How you hold it up,
Pokemon.
Right?
Yeah.
Pokemon, right? So
you mean Pokemon Go?
Yeah, Pokemon Go, right? Augmented reality. So for argument's sake, could another delivery method be something where you have an augmented reality comic book where you hold it up and it's the characters for argument's sake, in the fight scene, right, illustrated by the artist, but then the background is, your backyard, or the background is, the whatever a landmark. You can cater it. You can cater the story to your own environment.
Right. I'll tell you straight up, that sounds fantastic. It's not really something I'm interested in doing personally, but it sounds fantastic.
Okay.
Because I mean, look, I'm a writer, right? And I got my little box, and I don't really want to get outside that box. I'm an animal, I'm trapped. Okay, here I am. Because that requires a whole different skill set. You require some,
Yeah, that's definitely thinking.
I'm not saying we have to do it. I'm just saying, what would you like to see? It doesn't have to be digital. Could it be one of the old, monster rides at Coney Island?
I'll tell you what
you're going through, the Haunted Mansion, and the panels are there where you're sitting on the cart. What would you like to see be another delivery method for the comic book narrative? That's
it already exists. I like bande dessinée size comics.
The what?
Bande dessinée. It's the French comics. They're huge. They're a lot bigger than standard American comics. They're usually
like the Treasury size edition, or like an album cover.
Just like an album cover. They tend to be like 2 or 3 inches taller and a couple inches wider than American comics. So that's actually my preferred. I like books to be bigger, not smaller. So you know.
Okay. All right.
All right. All right. Damien, let's start with you.
Yeah, Damien was next.
I have no idea. When you said the AR thing, I was actually thinking about something. I got a shirt that has an app that you do put the app on the shirt, and a video pops up. So there is a way to create images that, or say, a book, a comic, a panel that has additional information pop out. I could see, you have like a heads-up display that a character is looking at. It pops up, and you can see what they're seeing, maybe panel by panel type of situation. I think it's more to be based on the technology that is there. Like right now, digital comics came from digital, pros. Whatever the next, like motion comics, are they comics? Is that really a comic, or is that a cartoon? It's that kind of thing. It doesn't stop being a comic when it stops being, panel progression. The Scott McCloud standard idea of what a comic is. Does that, like I'm saying, is a motion comic, or is it a cartoon? Like that is like the main thought that I have when I think about that. It's adding something else to the comic and then making it something new. I don't know if it's still a comic, so I don't know how to answer that question.
Okay.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Although I love the AR thing, I would totally do it.
Where you at with that, Alfred? What would you like to see?
I mean, I don't know, man. That's a hard question because that would take a lot of research.
Okay.
I'm such a print guy. I love going to the comic book store and walk around and the old style way of buying comic books. So to think that far ahead, I mean, I don't play games.
Okay.
I don't know. The last PlayStation I have is the first one, which is the basketball game. That's the last time I ever played a video game. So I have no clue.
That's like magazine size that John's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So Evan, did I stump you too, or?
Luckily, I had a little bit of time to think about this. So yeah, you did. But I think more than anything else, not so much format, but in terms of style, I think you're seeing maybe a few too many comics that rely too much on words, dialogue, narrative text, sort of treating it as prose rather than a visual medium. I'd love to see more stuff like G.I. Joe 21, Silent Interlude, where there are no words, perhaps, and focus on the artwork more.
Okay.
This guy, I do that.
Nice.
Nice.
Marvin the Man, the myth, the legend.
Randy, talk to me, brother.
I love collecting graphic storytelling in any unusual format I can find. I've got a lot of big little books. I've got a lot of paperbacks where they've taken comics and chopped them into different formats. I don't know if you remember, and we talked about this earlier today, the Black Mark book that Gil Kane did. That was a combination of prose and pictures. Any tumbling and mix on that, any type of experimentation, to me is so important to see and to have it out there in order to get because you never know what's going to catch on and what's going to be big. I'm fascinated by chick publications, and don't forget, way back when they used to wrap comic strips around bubble gum and sell them for 5 cents. Old
Bazooka Joe. Yeah.
That stuff has to continue in the last, again, sorry for the soapboxing, but the last 30 years, we've been Pavlovian trained to sit in the same format, to sit in the same bag, to sit in front of the same board so that it fits the same long box to please a retailer who'd rather sell a Funko Pop.
Right.
You know, it's time to go out there and knock the walls out and start playing. You know, where's the comics that look like those old style Garfield books that were out a long time ago, flat and longer? I've been playing around with cutting a comic in half, right? But you know how it's 2 staples on the spine, chop a line out there and run long rectangular pages like what Byrne did for the Fantastic Four that one time where you had to turn the book sideways.
Mossguard presented their books like that. I don't know.
Mousecard loves that. Has played with a format. I don't have a book handy here, but I did I would used to do a story for a nature preserve where I created a team of superheroes for the nature preserve that they put up in huge signs. So you could take a mile walk around their nature preserve and catch 13, 14 signs telling a story, teaching kids about conservation, preservation, and all of this through superheroes. And I would take that and put that together into a comic that they would give away for free because newsprint comics are unbelievably cheap. Of course, they look cheap, but they are cheap. You know,
they smell good.
Yeah, not as good. Not nearly as good as Only Death Can Save Us.
There you go.
Oh, that book's got
Watch your feet as Randy drops those plugs, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
You pop that bag and anyway. The arrow the when we knock that down into thin comics for the direct market, they will not smell that good. Sorry, it's just not going to happen. But comics deserve to be out there to the masses any way we can, and we ought to be all out there like those puzzle books that you see at the dollar store in every freaking format, every freaking size, every freaking thickness that you can get your hands on, and for every price range in order to try to attract the widest audience possible. Because you never know what's going to hit. You never do.
Right. JD, what kind of delivery method would you like to see in the future? So you see, Randy went in a whole other direction, but he still gave us a delivery method. It did not have to be beyond digital. What kind of delivery method would you like to see comic books be presented?
Which one, me or him?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let me
I answered this question.
Mr. Calderon, please.
Oh, I thought I answered already.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Randy's was so good.
Look.
I lost track.
Here we go.
So,
oh no, here we go. This is I answered it.
Yeah.
And John
that's right.
clarified.
That's right.
Thank you, John.
All right, Joe.
At least somebody's paying attention, unlike the co-host.
Joe, what kind of delivery method would you like to see comic books?
I'm sorry. I just want to throw this in. I got an awesome copy of Tintin the other day that I found at a book warehouse store that is like 2 inches taller and about an inch wider than your standard Treasury edition in hardback. That thing's beautiful. You don't see that around very often, but you know, how often do you see Tintin anymore? So anyway,
Mr. McPhee, go for it.
Now, I'm not certain if this would be considered a delivery method, but you use the word of how did you use it? Not the word. Oh, I forgot what the word you used before delivery method. Narrative.
Mhm.
When you said narrative, the first thing that came to my mind is we need innovation or something that has not been done in a long while in literature, and that is the choose your own adventure.
Ah, okay.
If you could come out with a comic series or a comic series or comic issue where you have multiple paths that you could take your characters in, and as they go along,
That's great.
You can offer different paths or a path of their own choosing that you could set up the guidelines and everything that they can submit into you, and then if it's good enough, you could come back and say, here is your reward for doing that. Here is your full-fledged book.
Okay.
At the very end, here's the book that you created.
Right.
So you have not only the suggested path that you have for them, but also give them the option for their own path. They're directly involved, and then if they do submit it in, they have the opportunity to do it.
There's a Flint Comics.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't seen one. It's a newspaper. Advertising in it. We carried all sorts of ads, not just ads, but we carried all sorts of comic strips and stuff inside, comic book stories, just anything. Advertiser supported. We gave it away for free. You just walk up once a month to a newspaper box and take a funny paper.
Nice.
It was great, and it was sustainable, except we had the water crisis around here.
Wow.
I know in a bigger city with a larger culture, it would do real well, but you have to sell ads,
right?
In order to be able to give it away for free,
right? Marvin, where do you sit?
So, I mean, I'm going to say about what Joe said about the Choose Your Adventure. I would have thought that Netflix would have driven hard on that one. I thought that thing they did, was it like a year and a half ago, was pretty popular. Where you
the Black Mirror?
Yep. The Black Mirror episode where you could choose what you wanted the characters to do and try to get all the special endings. But to me, I'm going to go back to your AR idea. The PlayStation Vita, even though it died on the vine, had cards that you could put on a table, and you could play a game from those cards. So I think one of the games, it was like a diving game where it had a platform and you could dive into the water. So why not have trading cards that have AR features in books that have either like bio information for the characters or websites or other books that are available from that publisher or in those books? I mean, that's something you could sit on a shelf at a comic store also to say that for your next reading adventure, pointed at this thing, and it'll pop up websites and things like that for you to go and choose and say, oh, I can order my books from this app also. So I mean, I think being more interactive is the way you need to go with delivery of books. You have to give someone who doesn't read comics or is just getting into comics more of a I mean, that could almost be your choose your own path thing right there in that store, where have some kind of adventure in there, find a something in the store or anything like that, where you're just giving that person something to do besides after they're done reading that book that took them 10 minutes to get through. So now here's some more stuff to go out and find.
I like it. I like that. Cool.
Yeah. Like a comic book escape room.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, that's you touch everything. I mean, that's what Paige and I were talking about earlier was, once you're in those shops, and not only do you have people coming there buying comics, people are coming there to buy tabletop games, card games, other things. Yeah. You gotta encompass the whole entire thing. You got to get crossover. You can get those people who buy comics to buy RPGs if you're putting something in that package that says that if you got this book, more stuff is in here, and then get those people who are playing those RPGs into those books. You got to try to get everyone that comes into that comic store should be reading your book, no matter what they're coming there about.
That's right.
Grab everybody across the whole entire spectrum of everything if you can.
Yeah,
transmedia.
Yeah.
Source Point Press has done a pretty good job with that. I think they own a company called Deepwater Games, so they're sort of bringing some gaming people to comics and some comics people to gaming.
Nice.
That's cool.
I mean, sky's the limit, man. Just whatever you can do to grab someone's attention for like 5 minutes, and you got them hooked.
That's right.
Yep.
There was an online strip and that was collected as a comic called Knights of the Dinner Table.
Mhm.
And they play role-playing games, and it was like
Yeah.
some of them playing the games and some of them.
It's still coming out.
Oh, it's still out?
Yeah.
I've not.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The problem is not a whole lot of people realize it. They're on like issue 270 something.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And they just slowly, and they're a combination. They're a beautiful mutation of comics and gaming, because they'll run gaming scenarios and articles inside the magazine, as well as run about 25 pages of comic book material.
Oh wow.
There's a lot of that out there, and you have to remember, again, we're in that alternative and independent market where we need to start looking for this kind of stuff. The main media, especially on the net, all they want to talk about is Marvel and DC. But like I said, Knights of the Dinner Table's out there. ERB Estate has been running comic strips for a fee. They've been paying artists to do comic strips online for the last 5 or 6 years. Nobody's been asking how they're doing. They're doing exclusive editions of a lot of the Tarzan material. I think they've got Joe Jusko doing covers for exclusive book editions, but they're still paying folks to adapt and run further adventures of ERB properties in comic strip form.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was
For the-
just licensed out to
for-
whoever can
For the
afford it.
uneducated, Randy, please, what's ERB?
Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Thank you.
But they do. There's like a Cave Girl and Tarzan strip, and John Carter, Carson of Venus. There's Beyond the Farthest Star. I think they do too. I'm not sure. I haven't been over there in a long time. Last time I was there, I think they were $9.95 a month, and I was going to let them build up material and just go in there and read it in chunks. But they need to start doing books. But if they did, where would they go? Just to the bookstores? Right now they're more concerned, and this is their way also of securing copyright for Burroughs material that's jumping into public domain. They go out and do their own versions of it, their own limited edition sets of it, and secure that copyright.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, cool.
Continue
Well, look,
publication.
I'm changing gears a little bit. I'm asking something about the creative process for each of you, right? So, we got out of 2020 amazingly, right? We're in 2021. We're actually in the third month. Who the hell thought that was going to happen?
Yeah.
So the question is, creatively, have you been able to accomplish your goals since the beginning of 2021? And we will start with Mr. Damien. Well, I think we're up to Mr. Alfred. Yes. Damien's like, hell no, somebody else.
To that question, yes. I mean, I think so far the year's been going great. With the signing on with Second Sight Publishing and putting the comic books out. I think we started off the year very strong with Marvin Wayne headlining the beginning of the year, and my title's coming out. I feel great. I feel confident with the new measures that's taking place. As a creator, this is one of the best years and the most exciting years I had. So
very good.
I'm looking forward to it, and it's going to be extended with Mr. Evan. So
Now,
That was a nice
it's been a fantastic year.
That was a nice handoff.
What's the name of your book though? Before you hand it off to Evan.
My comic books are called Chess #1, which been out for a little while, but was re-released through Second Sight Publishing and had a fantastic month. And Blowtorch #1, which is my new comic book, which also is released. And
they're both in previews, right?
Yeah, both was in previews and in stores on April 7th. And the issue 2s for both would be in the next previews.
Nice.
All right, cool. All right, Evan.
I think 2021 is setting me up nicely to sort of make progress on what I did in 2020. 2020 we were sort of forced to distribute books in a different manner, learn some skills in terms of streaming, working on our crowdfunding, and then also, let's be honest, we had more time to create, so I was able to build more relationship with artists, write more stories, and now 2021 is going to be about promoting that work that I created in 2020, including Silence, published by Second Sight Studios. So I'm excited.
All right. Randy, how's it going for you?
I saw a directional change. I was working on a crowdfunding book that I was doing, and then I had a dear friend pass on, Ralph Griffith, and we got to talking before he passed, and we started talking about Arrow Comics, and I said, I want to bring Arrow Comics back. He said, do it now and just run with it, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to start kicking out regular books again, and I'm really looking forward to that. But everything I was working on in 2020 kind of got sidelined because of it. And now I'm just, the tracks have changed, and I'm running in this direction. So here we go. Let's see how it goes. You know, and thanks to Liberty and the fact that they're gaining more clients, retail clients all the time, I'm really hoping that there's going to be at least one, if not two more or three more avenues of distribution, perhaps not just Liberty. Maybe somebody will get his act together. Maybe Lunar will go out and start looking for other product or whatever, where I can get Arrow Comics out there to the masses and not have to worry about Jeppy gatekeeping. Right. So that would be a good thing to see. It's what the market needs.
Yeah, I believe Scout just recently signed on with Lunar.
They did, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So so that's a good sign for the rest of us.
They're not exclusive with them though. They're still in previews,
they're not.
But they're looking at other avenues to get their stuff out. And that again, that goes back to Mr. McPhee there talking about keeping as many revenue streams available as possible. You just got to
keep moving. Yep, always got to keep moving. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, cool. Mr. Rosario, how's your creative year been going so far?
Really good, dude. Because everything was hunkered down, the hatches were all closed. I got to, dive right into producing content. So I've been stockpiling quite a bit of content so that I can have a semi-regular release schedule in the future, not a sporadic, once a quarter type of a release with my things. So we've been creatively fulfilled this year. Yes.
All right. Cool. Mr. McPhee, how's it going for you?
This year or last year?
This year, starting 2021. This year.
Okay, starting 2021. It's like everything that I planned for 2020 since the pandemic hit is coming to fruition. I never thought that the YouTube show that I do on Saturdays would be a big help, but it is.
Right.
People are now starting to pay attention to what I do. The other thing that had happened here, if you give me 1 second, I think I still have it sitting right here. If not, it's sitting up here.
I hope he has pants on. That
happened this, just a few days ago.
Very good.
Comics Unlimited.
Nice.
Hit. We actually got books over to Liberty Distribution. We got another store picked up our books. I mean, I've been thinking outside the box. I can't if I can't rely on shows, then I gotta really hunker down, get people to our website, to our web store, get people to local comic book stores, try to get the books in local comic book stores and stuff to that magnitude, and just work from there. And it's been a great year as far as, actual physical work of getting books done too, penciling and inking. So,
Hopefully the conventions are coming back. Hopefully.
Knock on wood.
Knock on
wood. Okay, there, Tin Woodsman.
All right, Marvin. So how's the year working out for you so far?
So I would say pretty good. I mean, 2020 was a reset year where, we were full bore ahead on other things, and we were going to be releasing issue 10 in 2020, and things happened, as we know. And 2021 is now a new beginning, like Friday the 13th. So it's a new beginning, and I think that you'll probably hear me yell and scream once I get to the comic shop in 10 days, and that book is on the shelves. So all you guys are going to hear my mouth, because I'm going live right as soon as I get into the store. So I'm going to be yelling, screaming, and then
that's right,
and swearing a lot of things once I get into that store and the guy say, "Hey, your book's over here. Let's go check it out." So I think that I'm calm right now, but after that date, all bets are off on my attitude. It's going to be full bore, all things ahead on comics and helping people and getting things done. Because people have known that I spent most of 2020 compiling a list of every comic book store in the world that accepts indie comics.
Nice.
And that list is now at 500, almost 700 stores, and it's going to grow to over 2,000.
That's right.
And that's just that you said indie books.
Yes, these are stores that will accept indie comic books.
Okay, cool.
You know,
now you just doing that. Is that a private list for yourself? Are you looking to share that out? Are you looking to sell it?
It's been shared.
Oh, okay.
I shared it multiple times on Facebook. Like anybody who wants it, just shoot me a message, and I'll give you the link.
All right, cool.
I got the list. If you need it. I'll get it out to you.
I got the list too.
Share
the
like that.
That's it.
That list, what, over a year?
And Marvin, we trust. You know what I'm saying?
I don't build stuff like that for myself. That's for the community.
Gotcha. Oh, that's cool, man. That's really cool. I've always been a proponent of sharing out. Like, sometimes you'll run across a guy, and you'll be like, listen, where'd you get that done? And they'll be like, oh, well, I can't tell you. You'll jam up the works. Like, if I tell too many people, then they won't be able to produce my stuff,
But that's the exact opposite of what you want, because if you have a resource and they're doing a good job for you, you should want people to know about it so they can do a good job for it, because it helps that resource.
Exactly.
The more people who are buying for them, the easier it is for them to get product, and then costs go down, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're keeping it to yourself, costs are high.
Right.
Not
only just that, whenever I have one of these things going, I tell people, I say, listen, tell them I referred you.
Yeah.
Because you never know. When you go, that person refers you, maybe that guy will give you a little bit of a discount, give you 5-10% off. They say, hey, this guy's hooking me up, let's move it along.
Yeah, never keep resources to yourself. That's a bad idea for everybody. Doesn't work.
Let me jump onto something you just said a second ago, JD. The info gatekeepers, right?
Right.
Those info gatekeepers that you remember withheld information from you. How many of them are still out there today? So I know when I was first in the con circuit, and I'd go over to people's tables like Oliver Twist, they have some more info, and they would just, being restrictive to that stuff. A lot of those people, stop. They're not here. They're no longer putting their skin in the game. So do you remember any of those people that held on to the info still out there today? Or do you think it's better for everyone, like with Marvin saying, when you share what you figured out?
Yeah,
without charging people for it.
Right. I think it's better to share, and of course, not charging people for it, unless I don't like you.
I just dropped the link into the chat.
Nice. All right. Cool. Thank you. But I mean, it's one of those things where it's just, you definitely need to share the information because there's a lot of it out there, right? The only problem is that, just gathering it, but sometimes you got to do your legwork, right?
Right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right, we had our first. Now we're back to our first reluctant, guest speaker, Mr. Damien. How do you feel about it?
Okay, here's why I'm reluctant. Because next month, I'm going to be telling a lot of people a lot of things.
Okay.
A lot of things in the fire that are getting finished up this month. 2021 has been amazing. There's been long-term things that have been sitting that are going to be started/done. And I'm going to announce all that in April. Like it's something that I'm planning on. So it's been really good to me, and that's all I can say.
All right.
Nice.
Cool.
But to the other gatekeeper, the information keeper, Robert Kirkman. Robert Kirkman did that to me back in 04, 05. When he was doing Funkatron and Battle Pope, way before he did Walking Dead. Right as he was starting to put Walking Dead together. And I've got stories about that with Tony Moore that I got to know.
But was that back in the digital weapon days?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay.
Mm.
We got some juice for the after show.
It was was I came to him like like you said, I was like, can I have some there's a piece of information, and he was like, no, because you're a I can't give you what I know because then you'll use it and it could be better than me.
Now,
it was a
let me
straight up, no, you can't have that because I don't want you to be a competitor. So, no.
So let me ask you a
Wow.
question. What were you asking it for?
Just general information, like, how are you getting started? Like, what are you doing? Is there? I wasn't asking for like secrets. I was like a general idea. Where I was just starting to put like stuff in a book, and just starting to be, hey, I want to put this together and get it out there. And would you have any advice? It wasn't. I wasn't deep diving for info. The response I got was proper channels, kids, proper channels. I don't know what that meant. And I asked him at a con once. And he was like, oh, well, I just been private message me on there. And I was like, that's what I did. I private messaged. Just said, hey, I don't want to make like a forum post and say, give me all your secrets. I was very, hey, do you have any advice? I'm kind of doing this thing too. And I was straight up just no. And he said, at the time, I felt like, anybody was a competitor. And then I heard like what he actually did to get all that started. And I was like, okay, I can kind of see that. I can kind of, for, with what he had on the line. But by the same token, I wouldn't do that. If I was in that same position, I'd still be like, here's some information I have. Here's some ideas. Hey, what are you doing? Maybe I could benefit and we could work together or we could build each other up.
I mean, even just he could have just given you like a token piece of information,
of course,
without having to give you everything. You know what I mean? He could have said, well, you could do this and this, try that, and then come back to me, then we'll talk. You know what I mean? He could have just done that. Which at least is something where you're not walking away saying, damn, that dude's a dick, right?
Right.
Really was my first reaction. He wasn't rude. To his credit, he wasn't rude. He was like, no.
Okay.
I was like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, dude, like, why did you do that? I was like, then I realized he'd seen some of my art stuff, and I'm like, does he think
About what year was that? Do you know?
Oh, it was he and Tony Moore were working on Walking Dead, getting ready to put out issue 1. They had just gotten picked up by Image. It was like way back in the day when he was still doing Battle Pope.
Right.
No idea of the date?
And 0405 around that time.
Okay.
Interesting. All right.
This was doing cons in 06. I think it was right before that.
All right, Mr. Rosario's back to you.
Okay. So let's keep on this. What do you guys feel about the info gatekeepers, or more importantly, the info gatekeepers that charge you to share the information that they have collated, or charge you to become part of their network?
We were talking about that earlier, weren't we?
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Look at
How
that.
do you
Look at
feel
that.
about that, Alfred?
I don't know.
I got a school, kids. I've had 3 successful Kickstarters. You too can have a successful Kickstarter. Give me $1,000. I'll teach you how to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to do that, honestly, go to a college and become a faculty member.
There you go.
And then pay the school to take a class then, because if that information is available on the internet and someone gets a hold of it, they're going to share it with somebody else anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can find anything you need on the internet.
Hell yeah.
Almost
Yeah, I mean-
everything on YouTube alone.
You don't need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think those days are here anymore that you could keep secrets like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
people
like-
still get away with doing it.
Well, no.
Yeah.
They attempt to do it.
Excuse me, they attempt to do it. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, I think that time has passed. You know what I mean? Everything's an open book now.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Those guys don't last very long.
yeah.
Evan, how do you feel about it?
Even if you do try to do that, I mean, you're always going to have someone who's going to give it away for free anyway. So I mean, you're giving you're gatekeeping information that someone else has. They're willing to give it away. So I mean, what's the value?
Yeah.
I mean, if if I own a sandwich shop and I'm selling sandwiches for $3, somebody down the street is giving them away for free, what's going to happen to my shop?
Right.
Yeah. It's just about somebody being invested enough to do their own research. I mean, it's all the things are out there now. If you want the information and you dedicate enough to get the information, do the research yourself. I mean, there really is no info gatekeepers like that right now.
And I think there's no value better than experiencing something your own and learning from your mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, keeping it simple as well. I mean, we're putting out a product. The product has to be good. Number one, you've got to have a story. You've got to have compelling characters. You've got to fulfill, obviously, in a timely manner. The quality of the book itself. So there are some things you can sort of take care of in advance, and the smaller things in terms of well, not small, but shipping, perks and whatnot, platforms to promote. These are things that you can sort of learn on your own, but also the community in general is very cool and very helpful. So if you just reach out to people, more than likely they're willing to help.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I never really had that type of problem, so I go up Marvin Wayne for everything. So I've been lucky.
I gotta co-sign on that. Marvin and I have been trading information for years, and Marvin is a great source for this, definitely.
Yeah.
But Randy, where do you stand on it?
Anybody that ever asks me my advice never takes it. So
I would take it, Randy.
And then they come back to me a couple of years later and they go, or even months. Oh man, maybe you were right.
A multi-million-dollar company?
Yeah, I've ran into that wall before. It's all good,
Yeah.
But like we were talking earlier, those guys don't last very long because people figure it out. The smarter people, you're always going to catch a couple of suckers, just like a snake oil salesman selling the jar of all-purpose elixir out of the back of their cart. They'll catch maybe a couple of thousand or whatever, and may be okay for a little while, but then most people realize, hey, you're not telling me nothing I can't learn elsewhere for free. So, and then they'll go. Some people, try to write books and become like cult leaders, and that doesn't work out for very long either. So, it's the same basic principle, snake oil,
Yeah.
True.
But hey, on YouTube, I ran across a great channel the other day called Colors by Kevin. You want to learn how to digitally color? He's got 50,000 followers teaching digital color theory, different ways of digital coloring. And I'm sitting there going, wow, are all those people reading comics? Because if they are, somebody needs to capture that audience. Because, wow, cool.
What's scarier is are all 50,000 of them wanting to make comics.
Yeah.
That's the scary part. Because then it's just like, if you think it's crowded now.
No. See, that's the whole thing. We need everybody out here making comics because the more that gets made, the more quality is compared and the higher everybody gets. And again, more people like Kevin do channels, and it's like, dude, I want to learn your color theory. This is awesome,
Well, also, I think, there are probably quite a few people on Facebook and other platforms who are friends of ours who are not necessarily or were into comics, but now, they're opening their eyes and looking at this is, something that they might get into.
Right.
Yeah.
Calderon, how do you feel about those gatekeepers, bro?
Well, listen, I bought into one of those programs, right? So I know I've dealt with, one of those guys. And it's cool, dude. And the thing is like, it's helped me. I've used some of the program, and it's and it works. It's primarily for people who are new, and for people who don't have self-structure. They don't know how to organize themselves. This person, it's basically a step-by-step thing, and if you follow the program, you'll be fine. It doesn't work as well for me because I don't like to follow instructions. So, all of my cabinets are a little crooked. So, if it depends on how you roll. I like to figure things out for myself typically, but I figured I'd try this out. I had the capital to do it. I was like, let me try it. And like I said, I mean, I think JD McPhee had mentioned a couple weeks ago is like also one of the things you buy into is there's a community there. You understand? And you can go in there and you can talk to them and they can help you cross promote and all this other stuff. And that's, if anything, that's where the value is at. It's in that community. Because I've spoken to a number of those guys. All of them are fantastic, great people. And they've helped me out and I've helped them out. And, and I've had some of them on the show and I got to actually bring some back. But, that's where I think that helps, where I think that community comes out and they can help you out, promote, just make it a little bit stronger for you, to push. Because that's where I think the strength lies. Just like in this group here, we can all help each other push the books. Get more voices that are screaming the same thing, and they get more attention than just all of us just screaming. If we're all screaming the same thing at the same time, then it's actually a chorus, not just noise.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I'll get back to your point after we go through everybody. JD. I'm JD. Jesus Christ. McPhee.
Yes.
He is JD though.
I am a JD.
He is JD.
We're all JD
I
now.
know. What do you feel? How do you feel about those info gatekeepers that charge you for the information?
Technically, I don't like them, but I have to be honest too, because like Mr. Calderon stated, we're in that one same community. Mm-hmm. And I do have to admit, it's like there were some things that I learned through that community, through the person who run it, but there's also another thing that is still so elusive that nobody has an answer for it. And it's good to have that community because you can always bounce things off of, but when you join something or you sign up for something, you have one big major question that cannot be answered. It kind of makes you leery. And it's kind of like that snake oil. It's like, oh, I have a problem, but did the snake oil really work? In this case, with this community, yes, it did to a degree. It was kind of like a get me over, but I still have to deal with that one problem per se.
Okay.
That, like I said, if I find the answer to it, I could be a millionaire, and I'm going to share it.
Now,
I'm not going to share it for a fee, but I will share it.
Now, McPhee, what's the question? I know you've said it before. I want to hear it again.
Oh, you want to hear it? Oh, you want to hear it again? It's like with everything dealing with crowdfunding, and with most of the methods being the way that are, that you have to use your current fans to bring attention to your campaign. How do you truly reach a cold audience? Nobody has an answer for that because technically they're cold to you. They don't know who you are. They don't know what you're about. You could go on all these different shows. You could do all this other stuff, but how do you truly grab their attention? Especially in a digital world where everything flashed by you so quickly. How do you truly grab them? Nobody has an answer for it.
Okay.
If I figure it out, I'm a millionaire.
Yep. And if you share it, hopefully we can follow your footsteps.
Yeah. Marvin, how do you feel about that?
About the gatekeepers?
Yep.
I thought
you touched on it, but
yeah.
I want to give your time.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, yeah, like I said, that you're going to run into problems with that because, like I said, that somebody may have all that information that they're willing to share for a fee, but there's always going to be other people who have that same information. They're willing to say, "Here, take it." It worked for me. Why doesn't it work for you? Why am I going to charge you for something that should be free? I mean, it's like a library, right? You walk in, you look at the books, you take books home, and you bring them back when you're done, which means that you're leaving that information there for someone else to gather. I mean, information should be easily shareable, free, and I mean, even if I share with someone else, maybe they may even innovate on it and bring it back to me and say, "Hey, I tried it your way. This worked a little bit better. Maybe we try this," and then it's a community thing then because you need your community to succeed. You can't do it by yourself in any situation. There's always going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 people that are going to help you out. The more you try to internalize that information and sit on it, the easier chance it's going to slip away from you and be out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? The tighter you grip your hand, the easier it is for things to slip through your fingers, right?
Yep,
Mhm.
that's right. So, Mr. Pops Van Zant, this is a stellar lineup. Thank you, Pops.
Thank you, Pops. And Damien, you want to round this out, brother?
Information should be shared freely. Period. That's how I feel.
That's it.
No.
Simply said.
Best case, I can't think of the rising, all hands raised.
Right.
The rising tide raises all ships.
Yes. Best case is that. Worst case is if you're better than me, I got to step up my game. And that just makes me better. So I mean, even no matter how you look at it, sharing information is just going to work out for everybody.
All right. Cool. All right. I guess I'm back up to bat. So here we go. Now this one's more about process. I'm a writer. I've been writing a long time. I like doing experimental writing. Okay. Sometimes I'll write stuff that I don't normally write. I'll write a romance, right? I'll write a short romance story. I'll write, just something weird. I'll mash genres. I'll say, okay, let's do a horror romance with, hobbits or something, and then, I'll roll from there. Right. So, and then there's also different techniques, and then different ways of presented in comics. So now here's my question, you gentlemen, right? Can you change your style of writing and genre, right? Also, let me expand on that a little bit. So it's like I think Randy had pointed out, when do you find yourself wanting to experiment on the page, right? Sometimes you have the easy one, 9-panel grid, right? The 9-panel grid, some people love it, some people hate it, but you also have a 12-panel grid. There was Matt Wagner. He had done in Grendel. Shit, I think he had 36 panels on his damn page.
Jesus Christ.
It was these little tiny boxes. It was little.
Yeah.
And it was tiny boxes, and it was like this text on the top. And it is just like I look at that, and I'm like, I want to do it for one page, but I couldn't. He did it for pages and pages. Oh yeah, definitely. And it's like Randy was saying, would you want to do like a sideways type book? Would you like to go John Byrne route and do Snowblind? What are the things that you've experimented with in your writing, that you'd want to see more? I think Evan is up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you have to sort of differentiate between, narrative text, dialogue, and layouts,
right,
when you're making a comic. The common thread in my books is that everything has a certain emotional appeal to it. It stems from something that I experienced that I just have to get off my chest. And then I try to combine that with stories that are relatable, characters that are interesting. But in terms of layouts, I mean, it's interesting because I've worked full script and Marvel script, and I enjoy full script. I love sort of pushing the boundaries of what I can do in terms of layouts and the visuals. But in reality, with having a day job, Marvel style is much more conducive to my current situation. So when you find an artist that you can actually trust, sort of you can plot with and then rely on him for the layouts and say, okay, I don't even need to worry about this. It's pretty helpful. But I think it's a constant learning process. You really need to, for me anyway, I'll draw my own very rough layouts before, I script, because I think the visual is paramount. You have to have that or you won't have a quality comic.
All right, cool. Randy, how do you find yourself experimenting these days?
Right now I'm just jumping into a bunch of writing, so I'm really looking forward to that. Other than that, I've done a lot of different things, worked in a lot of different genres. A lot of the stuff that I've done myself, I'll just sit down and do, thumbnail layouts and be writing it at the same time. But I did the War of the Worlds book I did for Caliber. I did in full script because that's the way the artist wanted to work, and he never deviated once from my descriptions or from my script. He was really good, and just put it all out there. But the story was a real straightforward, pulpy story where everything was moving at a hard clip. Every panel was moving the plot forward. I don't know what else to tell you other than that. The script that I'm working on now for this guy, I'm doing page breakdowns and then page descriptions, and then having him send me thumbnails to see how he's breaking it down. But I don't think he's going to have to do that here after maybe a book because he's that good.
Right.
So I'm always playing. It all depends upon your collaborator.
Mm-hmm.
As to how you're working and writing, and it not even so much as genre because it's more like it's words and pictures, and it's more a collaborative effort with your with whoever you're working with in order to get it together. So I don't think there's a specific way to approach a writing style for any specific genre. I mean, there's formula that you can hit, but a lot of times that just adds to a level of sterility with the work. So you need to ditch that and go on your way.
Well, I asked the question as because I use it as an exercise to explore things that I haven't explored.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it's just to do something a little different, try to get out your box. Because look, I mean, we're all doing what we're doing, and we're like, we have our set patterns. We're like, okay, we're going to do this, 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 and this. Sometimes it's good to break that pattern.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm asking. It's like, just get out of that and let's do something just a little bit different. So.
Well, right now, the books I'm working on, one is an incredibly high fantasy, and the other one's a goofy cartoon book.
Yeah, there you go. So
it's, bouncing back and forth. Plus, I want to do some superhero work here real quick. So I haven't done that in a long time.
All right.
That's all part of the fun of being in this business is that you can jump genres like that and do whatever you need to do.
All right. So let's hand it off to the superhero guy, Mr. Rosario.
So it's easier to change genre than it is to change style, but genre informs the style that you need to play to, right? So that's an easier route to go. But I think I love working the Marvel method. You leave a lot of room for your partner to play around with. There's a certain amount of ambiguity left in there, and you may have one idea when you lay out the script and you leave a loose dialogue and stuff like that. And when you get the pages back, you're like, oh my God, I never thought of seeing it like this. And, or maybe the opposite way. Well, I expected to tell this much dialogue, and now you got to change, what you were going to say in the panel. So that forces you to change, right? That challenges you in a good way. That challenges you to become better. And without that, then you're just going to be stagnant. You're going to be telling the same story. And I think you need that. Without that, you don't go.
All right, cool. Mr. McPhee?
Yeah. Let me go on record and say I hate Marvel Method. I hate it.
There are different levels.
We have a dissenter.
It's not just one plot
because
paragraph.
People rely too much on the artist, because one of the exercises that I always try to do, because I do both the art and the writing, is that I try to work within different mediums to understand how the medium works. And once you understand how that goes, your writing should follow. So, for example, I do a pro wrestling book that I do using Dodge Studio. So I do things in 3 dimensions. It's not the same as doing pencil and paper. I have more control there. But since I understand how it works, I know what I can write and what I cannot write to make it feasible. And when you start looking at that aspect and understanding the actual art behind it, it makes the writing much more easier. But when you're working with other people, you always have to work at their level. And sometimes, you know, you're gonna have people that you're going to have to spell out things verbatim. If you give them that Marvel method and let them up to their own vices, they will get confused. They will turn in just about anything and everything. And then you have to go back and haggle and work things out and everything to that magnitude. And sometimes you don't have the time. Especially if you're a person like me that works a 9 to 5. You don't really have that time to really sit down and spend hours on one page. So you have to understand the medium that you're working in and then write accordingly.
All right, cool. Marvin,
Yes,
are you experimenting these days?
So while I've been writing The Edge, I've kind of avoided traditional superheroes, but we are going to introduce a traditional superhero pretty soon. It's going to be the Superman archetype, but we're going to give him PTSD and anxiety. So he's never going to get into a fight because he can't. And anytime he hears a siren, he starts to get anxiety and has to calm himself down. So this calming himself down means he's going to leave the planet.
Oh, funny.
So I'm just going to play with that and see where it goes, because I think it's going to be something interesting where what happens if he has no choice but to get into a fight. Right. I mean, he's been protecting his planet for so long, and it's just gotten to the point where he just can't do it anymore. It's just too much.
Right.
So we'll see.
Now, is there anybody on that world that can take up that mantle for him, or is he it?
He's it.
Nice. That's a rough position to be in.
Yep.
Right.
So if you remember the character Deflator Mouse from the Tick animated series.
Yes, I know.
When they would shine his symbol and he would leave town.
Right.
No one's watched that. Is everyone familiar with that?
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Think of it like that. But the difference is that the Deflator Mouse was just a coward. This guy's just lost control of who he is. He doesn't know who he is anymore. He doesn't have confidence. So that PTSD is just what's dragging him down.
Right.
Kind of like when my ex-wife would join an event that I was supposed to attend. Leave town.
Nice. He needs one of those. What is it? One of those athletic coaches. You know, was a athletic therapist.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see, because what ends up happening is someone comes directly looking for him, and it's not just going to be the villains are doing this, the villains are doing that. Somebody's going to come knock on his door specifically and say, "What's wrong with you?"
Right. All right.
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. I think that's my cool. Yeah, I think, you know, by the time your book comes out, we'll see 10 others before yours come out. Everybody's gonna be in a rush, you know. And if you see my name and Evan's name and Paige's name and Randy's name and Damien's name and Jay's name and Jay's name, you know, just don't be surprised. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's all good. It's all good. Like I said, ideas are free, but no one has what's in my head on how twisted
exactly. Yes, sir.
This is true.
Ideas are free. The delivery is different. Yep. The way you deliver it and write the story is different.
That's right.
Yep.
I'm working on my version of Superman right now, and it's definitely completely diffdifferent.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, it's like pizzerias in New York. You know, one on every corner, yet they're all surviving.
Hey, I'm working on mine. As a matter of fact, me and Marvin talked about these same ideas earlier today about his story, about my story. I mean, it's just different deliveries on the same idea, same characters. How can you make it original to a new reader? You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
you know, people keep forgetting there's only 37 dramatic themes out there, and it's how you put your spin on it that counts.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I where's my 38th, Jay? I asked you for this week.
And somebody went out and counted each and every one of them too. So. JD, your fantasy horror romance story. Where's your title? My Hobbit, Honey from Hell.
There you go. Actually,
can I draw that? Can I have that draw?
It happened one night in the Shire.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, what's funny is it's this book that has that in it. That's my next Indiegogo.
Nice.
A Nightmare on Hobbit Street.
There you go.
So
Well,
since-
Nightmare in Hobbiton, right?
Hobbiton.
Since you brought up Indiegogo, a quick question for you, JD. Are you doing Kickstarter and Indiegogo?
Well, this was already appeared on Kickstarter.
Okay.
So I
you
did that
both.
already.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is my second go around with the book. You know, see if I can squeeze more juice out of this orange.
Right. Okay.
There you go.
You know. So, Mr. Damien, how do you feel about it?
I'm not a writer. I'm more of a plotter.
Okay.
Basically, here's how I feel. When it's my stuff, I can be experimental as I want. When I'm working on somebody else's book, I want just what do you need me to do for you? I'm your employee. I want to do what you want me to do. If you want to like experiment, we can. But and I love to. But it actually took me a long time to find a writer that could write what I want to do, because I, like for Elmer, I love Optic Nerve and I love Spider-Man. You know, I love indie like real alternative, you know, Love and Rockets, and not real alternative. I know that's it.
Yeah.
I'm pigeonholing, putting things in boxes. But, you know, I love Love and Rockets. I love mainstream comics. I love them all. And with the subject matter, it allows for experimentation and weirdness and almost asks for it. So sometimes I need, like, a writer friend of mine that when we work, he's reining me in. He's more of like, you know, so the experimentation, I could experiment all day long and not get anything done. That's where I have the opposite problem, is everything wants to be experimentation and it needs to be like done. The book needs to be finished. So he could sort of reins me in. When I have some ideas for stuff that, you know, I have one that involves the Pythagorean theorem and the universal harmonic and Buddhist philosophy and where they connect. And it's an idea for a book I've had for a long time. So I love the idea of experimentation. I get way too into it. So I personally try to rein myself in, or find people that can rein me in, get the pencil in my hand and get me at the page. So,
all right, cool. Mr. Alfred, what are you doing?
I like it both ways. You know, I've been lucky enough to have a writing partner, Alex DeGrocci, you know, with Chess and Blowtorch, and how we go back and forth. He takes my plots and really break it down to scripts, and we really put together a strong storyline. But in Mississippi Zombie 2, with Chester Dead, I worked with an artist named John Epple, and we did a more fun way. It's like, tell me what you want to draw.
Right.
You know, let's have more fun with it, and it came out great. We scripted after the artwork. So, you know, draw what you want to draw, have fun with it, and then we'll go back and we'll put the story to your artwork. You know, and it came out really good on the first one with Chester Dead, which is in Mississippi Zombie 2 from Caliber Comics and Second Sight Publishing, and we're doing it again with the next part, the same storyline, and we're just having a lot of fun with it. It opens up a little bit more door for the artists, have a more creative control over the pages.
Right.
You know, so I like it both ways.
Nice. Mr. Rosario is back in your court.
Okay, I want to chase one of the great white whales of indie publishing over here and ask about the indie crossover. Many have attempted it. None have been fully successful. Image tried to pull it off. I know Red Anvil got off a couple issues. I don't think they finished the series. I know, Marvin, you told me about a company that was doing it for a little while, and they were going to give you, 10 copies for using their IP. Why do you think it is so challenging to pull off an indie crossover? And could it ever be achieved? If so, how?
Oh, wow.
Okay. Now, who do you want to start with?
I don't know. Where did we leave off?
I think Randy.
Randy.
Next.
Yeah, Randy.
Oh, you would come to me first. It just takes cooperation between the independent companies, but there also has to be enough capital and enough audience there to sustain it. That's the whole key. And you might see that different now. There's a lot of people talking about crowdfunding different team-up books that look like they're going to be successful. There's definitely room in the future. And Image's book, let's be serious. Image's crossover would have been successful if they'd have bothered to get the damn thing out on time.
Right.
Yeah.
What you talking about? The Image?
2 or 3 copies.
You talking about Image and Valiant? You talking about what? You talking about the Image and Valiant?
No. I'm talking about Image.
The cross country, they're the cross company crossover. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that Image United?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Deathmate thing didn't ship on time either.
No, it didn't.
Oh,
No.
I mean,
Remember, if you remember, was it the Red Book, the one that Rob Liefeld was doing, shipped like 6 months after the other book, so it broke the whole entire narrative.
When you're dealing with the direct market, you have to please those retailers, and that means they have to depend upon your product to be there on time. And a lot of these guys just don't bother to do that, and it's given the alternatives and independents a really bad name. You know, there's that running gag of what's the biggest unicorn in alternative comics is issue number 2.
Yes, it is.
You know,
I think the only way it really works is the book. I mean, just like we always keep saying, the book has to be done. Like the whole entire thing has to be done before you even solicit it or even mention it or talk about it, or if people know about it, it has to be complete.
Now, I think that's what shies a lot of these secondary mainstream companies away from doing a regular shared universe, is they can't get their act together and their coordination together enough to actually do it and kick it out on time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Action Lab did it, but
they did
it.
Yeah,
they did it within themselves, their own umbrella.
Yeah, they did their shared universe, but then I mean, the whole thing crumbled apart after it was done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, Dark Horse put out a whole bunch of little superhero books and then couldn't keep them going.
I remember that in the 90s. They were 16-page books. One each week was coming out. And I think the only thing that was successful from that point on was Ghost, right?
Ghost, yep.
Yeah, X lasted a couple of issues, but Ghost was pretty much, well, some of those ideas were real bad anyway. But, you know.
Wow.
You can't throw out a bunch of seeds onto the ground and expect them all to grow.
Right.
But they were all doing that. All the companies were doing that at that point. You know, Marvel had one summer of every annual was a new character. DC was doing the same thing with Bloodlines. You know,
those are all embarrassing.
Yeah. I remember that. Yep. Yeah.
One of the worst characters ever in comic books.
That's back during a period that nobody wanted to create a character for a major company because they never paid royalties.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah,
but the worst character ever that came out of anything, which hurts, was a Captain America annual where they introduced this character called the Battling Bantam. Great hero name, by the way. I love how, you know,
he dressed like a chicken, wasn't he?
He was, dude. Tell me. All right, so I'm of Puerto Rican descent, right? Boxing is big with us, so they gave us, you know, a Puerto Rican boxer. But the guy had the boxing headgear. He had gloves. He had a white T-shirt and shorts, and he had the rooster cockspur on the top of the headgear.
Yeah,
getting shittier than that, man. Come on. I mean, I was disgusted.
That sounds like something somebody did on a dare. Like, we dare you to put that in that book.
And they got away with it. They
did it.
Hey, Bob, come up with an idea. Here we go. Yeah, that's great. Let's do that. Yeah.
The scary thing is, I said Battling Bantam, and Randy, boom, he was on it.
You know what's funny? What also is funny about that?
Oddball heroes, I love. You know.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if he shows up in the MCU, he'll be one of the most popular characters ever.
You watch that happen. You watch that. Somebody will do a boxing scenario, and the character will pop in, and suddenly that annual will go through the roof.
Yeah.
Oh, that's guy had the Battling Bantam in it. That's awesome. Yeah. Hey, they put
that name.
They put people on. They put people on skateboards. Look at Night Thrasher.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
Rocket Racer.
Rocket Racer. Yeah.
skateboarding was huge. Skateboarding was huge at that point.
And
You know,
that-
they were trying to get some of that money, man.
And let's never forget Steel Grip Starkey and his all-purpose power tool.
Oh boy.
Oh my God.
Was that the guy with the RC? Oh my God, with the one that with the motorcycle stunt team?
No, that was Team
USA.
not Team America. That was Team One. Yeah,
Team
Team One.
Capitalizing on the evil Knievel craze.
Steel Grip Starkey had this toolbox that could build stuff once he grabbed the handle of it. So you got this great page in the book where you see him from the back and he's grabbing that handle and he's looking over his shoulder and goes, "This feels great." That's why he was Steel Grip Starkey, and he had an all-purpose power tool.
Okay.
That was a joke, an inside joke at Marvel that they turned into a book. Yeah.
Yeah.
It can't be worse than Space Pot Pete.
Just like, well, no, but Quilt Man. There you go. They also did Giant Size Man Thing, so don't forget that.
All right. So, JD, what was the question again, so I can answer?
Yeah, sorry.
The Indy crossover. Why haven't they been able to pull it off? Why hasn't anybody been able to successfully pull it off? And I mean, from first issue to completion of the promoted series. And what do you think can be done to get to that point? Can it be done?
All right. Now, here's the thing, right? So, as an independent publisher, I know for a fact I'm a selfish fuck. So I know that, let's say if I wanted to put this project together, right? Here's the problem. We're all self-interested. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to bring your character in, but he's going to play second fiddle to my character. You understand? You're never going to get them to really play up the other characters. You understand? You can try, and maybe you're a fan of one of the other characters, and you'll achieve it, but it's not going to happen across the board. Okay? So you're only going to get so much of a commitment. And if you're coming into one of these things, that's what it's going to be. You're going to have to come in with that understanding that, this person who's setting it up, they got a plot in mind already. And their plot is going to have their character as the main feature. Why? Because that's what they have control of. So then whatever they bring in, that's secondary. So you're going to be playing some secondary role in it. Your character will be playing that role. I would imagine, they would do their best to, hype up that role a little bit more, bring it up a little bit more. But in the end, it's going to be that person's character and everybody else is going to play second fiddle. Okay. So it's a little bit more difficult. But also Ben Dunn is doing something over at Antarctic Press. Was he doing
I was going to mention that. Yeah.
Has he been able to put it off? I heard about it last year, I think.
The crossover with
I heard it was printed.
High School. It's like he was asking for people to write scripts for Ninja High School using their characters. They were supposed to be like an interdimensional romp that I don't think was all that successful.
Yeah, I don't know.
But wasn't there something on War of the Independents? Didn't they have War of the Independents?
Red Anvil. Yeah.
Oh, that's Red Anvil. Okay.
Yeah, and they only got maybe 4 issues of the 6. I think it was supposed to be. See, but the other thing is that's taken years to do. I remember, that being promoted way back when, digital weaponing was still growing up before it reached its heyday. And that was what, in the early 2000s, 2002, 2003.
Right.
Yeah.
That's almost 20 years ago.
Well, if you remember when they pitched that book to Diamond made them go out and get affidavits from every one of the creators too. So that held it up too.
Right. That's a dick move on Diamond's part. But should we expect anything else from them?
There we go.
So y'all were talking about Indie Wars?
Yeah.
Indie Wars. Press. I got that.
There you go.
That's me.
Okay. Nice.
Not a lot of money. It was me.
How is that, Damien? How did that read?
There's not a lot of transition. It's not a. It's
just you set it up. You set it up.
An opening piece that explained why the crossovers were possible, and then the basic gist was every story had to include the 3 main characters from Ninja High School, and then or any other. You could use the other characters. with your character, and it could be. So I mean, everybody kind of went with the classic, the heroes arrive, everybody fights, the heroes leave. I did the opposite route where I was just supposed to be, Realmer was just supposed to be there to give them something on their way through. A little different, but it doesn't. It's a good idea. It needed a little more interconnectivity,
a little bit more cohesion.
I think what needed to be done was someone wrote a story and then they handed their story up to the next person. They could see the end of their story and then connect it to the beginning of their story and then do what you want to do. Which I suggested to them in a forum, a post you posted on Facebook a couple months back. I was like, let's do this. If you're gonna do this again, let's do this. And they're gonna do it again. I'm not sure how much traction it got through solicitation, but through Diamond, but I got my 3 copies. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it. All indie people, I got to be a part of something cool.
Wait, did you say cool. 3 copies or 3 copies?
3 free copies.
Trey.
Yes.
Trey.
Okay.
Now,
hardback.
Did you get any? Did you get any money out of it? Just out of curiosity, I'm just curious.
The break after costs, the breakdown ended up being something like $3 a page. It was real low. It was real, and that was off the Kickstarter. That wasn't off solicitation. So I don't know how it did with that. But when everything was said and done, it was based on how many pages you had, and then what the total was after everything was paid for and done, shipping included, all that. And I collaborated with someone else. I wrote and drew it. I plotted and drew it. He wrote the dialogue to the art, and he sent him the check. And I was like, just keep it. It was like $30.
$30?
It was like $30. Yeah, it wasn't huge.
So 3 issues and $30. Okay.
Good money, baby.
It's fun. It was fun, and actually, what it did was get me back into making comics because I had.
There you go.
2019 was my bad. Last year was my year to rest. 2019 was my bad year. I had everything horrible from 2018 to 2019. About a literally 14-month period where death and fire and famine and almost a flood. I mean, no joke.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I wasn't drunk at all. And I was like, I've got to do something. And this came up, and I'm like, let me see what I can do. What can I put together in a month? And in a month, I got 12 pages done. Somebody said it had to be 6, so I pared that down to 6. And then I found out it could be whatever you want, and I got real mad. I already sent it in. So maybe I could have gotten $60. I don't know. But,
and maybe $60 and 6 issues.
I wasn't looking to get paid. I was looking just to have fun. Just be a part
of yeah, there's something to be part of something. That's cool. That's the part.
So you think it would have had more fun if they told you, listen, you're not going to make any money off of this. We're just doing it to see if we can pull it off.
That's kind of how it was presented originally.
Okay.
Was, hey, let's do this cool thing and see if it works. And then it I mean, a lot of people contributed. There's something like 20, 30 stories in there.
Yeah, it's a lot of people involved in that. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people, even working on multiple stories, like Nigel Flood, I think did 2 different stories, including the one he worked on with me. So,
he might have gotten $50.
Well, he got all the money from our story, but I didn't. Like I said,
gotcha.
But I said, did you get any money? He goes, yeah, I got $30. I'm like, for the whole thing? And he's like, yeah. I said, just keep it. Don't worry about it. We're good. I don't need a cut of that. But as far as crossovers, I'm not going to go into my story. I feel like now that they can work if everyone, especially from what JD was saying, is because everyone wants their character to be the star. Sorry, I said JD. Mr. Calderon. What I think because everyone wants their character to be the star, that is the problem, and or can be a problem. Ego can totally be the issue that kills the whole thing.
Yeah.
And to my mind, the crossover idea I had originally for what I was doing was the 2 heroes get kidnapped. They're trapped. And so it's everyone else coming to their rescue. that makes that the whole thing was supposed to be the other people were the star,
Right.
and our characters were the names, but weren't. In the story itself, they're like trying to figure their way out of like the clutches of the villain while the heroes are breaking down the doors trying to get in. I think I've come up with something better, and I can't tell you what it is, but I'm kind of excited about it.
Good.
All right. So just tell us what it is.
What?
What is it now?
Hold on. Let me get my pen and paper first. Hold on.
Hold on. It's coming out. We're taking notes.
I don't like emotional crossovers like that, like where everyone has to vie for attention and everything. And so when I find the book that's coming out next month, first issue of this crossover that's been in the works for a while, is not it's not going to be what people expect.
Okay.
It's not. I mean, it's because I can't even tell you. All I know is that I'm taking the piece from the old idea where I really wanted everyone to be on equal footing, billing, and spinning that in a new way, so that it's kind of a commentary on crossovers. It's kind of commentary on what I went through with the other stuff that was going on. I really tried to avoid no finger pointing, no name naming, nothing like that. Like, I'm not that guy. I don't want to be that guy. I wish everybody, if I work with people and then we can't work together, I wish them nothing but the best. I want them to succeed. That was such a weird, unique thing for me that I can't let that go by in my life without it informing the story. And so there's characters that exist because of what happened. And that's the only thing I can tell you. Okay. There's a character that exists because of what happened with the previous idea, sort of a meta commentary on crossovers going wrong. And I'll send you a book next month. I'll send everybody the link for the book next month.
All right, cool. Now I think we skipped over a couple of people. Who got skipped over? Is it JD? I know Marvin definitely got skipped over. Did you comment on this, McPhee?
On what in particular?
Go ahead, JD. Ask your question again.
Bro, I'm fucking winging this shit.
What did I tell you about writing it down?
About the crossover.
Okay.
Taking notes.
About crossover. That's what we was talking about. 'Cause I don't know if you're thinking to myself, it's like the reason why it doesn't work is because you're going to always have the scenario that Calderon even brought up. I mean, even look at Who Framed Roger Rabbit as an example. There has to be contracts that were made that everybody gets equal billing.
Yes.
And that's where the problem lies at. It's like nobody wants to sit down and really do that contract. If just sit down and say, we're going to create a story where everybody gets equal billing and the characters will never be taken out of context of what they're supposed to be and how they're supposed to act. Nobody would sit down and create those contracts. Everybody's like, hey, I got this great idea. Let's all of us get together, but nobody wants to do the logistics to it. So that's the reason why I feel that always happens.
I agree with that. 100%. And who else did we miss? Marvin, we got you on this?
What character was left out of Who Framed Roger Rabbit because of that exact situation?
I forgot because I know for a fact they have to have equal number of Looney Tunes characters to Disney characters.
Yeah,
they had Walter Lance's. I think they had Woody Woodpecker and Andy Panda.
They also had Droopy.
And they had, but that's Tex Avery.
Yeah.
That
was MGM.
That's MGM. That's Tex Avery.
Was it Donald Duck and Daffy Duck that were left out?
No, because they had the battle.
They had the doing pianos in the car.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I thought I remember there was a character or two characters left out of there because of contract situations. I can't remember who it was. Okay. Anyway, so in your original question, you asked about that Indieverse thing where they were talking about you would get 10 copies to give out to people. I mean, that was a wash from minute one because it was run by that Jeff guy from the Indie Spotlight toy line, the guy who did he did the Tick figure and all those figures.
Yes,
and
yes. I didn't know that was run by him.
Yeah,
okay.
and he did that first.
Jeff
and then when his name popped, I was like, oh yeah, okay, never mind. This is never happening. So I go back to the contract thing, and that there's a lot of moving pieces in that, and even though there are, I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So JD, you already and Paige already know I'm doing it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. No, I get it, and I wanna add to what Joe was saying before. I want to reference Fat Joe here for a second, right? And I don't know if you guys know when Fat Joe he came out. And he goes, "Listen, if you want me on one of your tracks, I'll do it. All you got to do is pay me $1. But when I'm asking you to jump on one of mine, you got to be there." You know, so if there's that reciprocation with each other, I think that is something that can go to helping achieve it as well.
Right.
But yeah, no, you definitely got to cross your I's and dot your T's when it comes to all of this stuff, because you're also talking about reprint rights in the future, and with people jumping around to different companies. Does it transfer when you jump from this studio to the next studio and stuff like that? You got to make sure all of that stuff is covered.
True. I think Mr. Alfred, you're up.
I disagree with JD. If I do a crossover, it's because I'm a fan of the character itself, and that's the opportunity to have fun with their character more than yours. So
wait, which JD?
I mean, that's how I look at crossovers. If I ask somebody for Calderon, he said if he does a crossover, his character has to play his character has to play first fiddle, and I'm like, if I do a crossover,
Yes.
If I ask somebody to do a crossover, like Marvin or anybody else in the past to actually do a crossover, it's because they have a character that I really want to have a chance to write and enjoy. So it's not about playing my character first. It's about the storyline of how both characters could play off each other in a way that the readers will really love.
Right. That's cool.
So.
Yeah. Cool.
I think Evan covered everybody on this.
No, Evan.
No, Evan. Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize, Evan.
No worries. I think having said that, it's very difficult to achieve from a creative perspective. Number one, you want to protect your baby. You've worked very hard on your property, and you really don't want to confuse the customer. You have a brand, you have a specific genre, and sort of mixing and matching, could open it up to, some, put it in a negative light, possibly.
Okay.
And then also, I mean, just the creative process in general. I mean, the more, chiefs you have, the more cooks in the kitchen, it might be more difficult to put out a quality product.
Right.
One thing that Brian Silverback is doing, it's not a crossover, but he created a universe called Kara Prime. And I was lucky enough to do a 5-page story, but it's an anthology. So it's showcasing the talents of different indie creators, but using his characters. It's sort of a superhero world in a dystopian future. So it's a good way to sort of have some independence, gain some exposure, and then he's also gaining more fans from different creators.
That's
all
cool.
right, cool. Actually, I have a final question.
Okay.
All right, hold it up. Hold on. And this came from Mr. Evan. This thing is killing me. Okay, so here we go. We all have numerous obligations outside of comics. How do you allocate time to work on your passion projects? What are your tips for avoiding discouragement when you just can't seem
clear life's many hurdles?
Yeah, to seem clear. Yeah, this thing breaks it up on me. I don't know. It's ridiculous. But yeah. Well, I know. I'll go first if you don't mind. I know for
He's
myself.
selfish. He's so greedy.
What are you talking about, Randy? Now me. That's how it works, brother.
What?
Come on, what's wrong with you? Right? Randy went last, and now I'm next. Come on.
I just think you're greedy.
This is true. I'm not gonna lie. I'm that guy that there's that last cupcake. Gone. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like for myself, it's different. Everybody's a little different. I don't have any kids. Some people have kids. This is myself and my wife, and I'm lucky that she's also invested in doing comics. So, I have my day job, which, it's a day job. And then I have my home life with her. And we're both of the same mindset. We're just like, okay, it's time to go to work. And she'll leave me alone while I'm working. And I leave her alone while she's working. And we're just constantly working. So thankfully, I don't have to deal with that question too much, I'll give it over to Mr. Rosario.
Yeah, I guess most of us have day jobs here, right?
Yep.
It's hard, man. It's hard, but when do you work on it? Every free time you got, when you're driving home from work, when you're driving to work, when you're in the shower, when you're at a dinner party and you overhear somebody say something in a conversation that strikes a chord for, a plot hole you couldn't just get over. There are times where I got to force myself, yes, but I'm lucky where, on my day job, I'm up on a regular basis at 4:30 in the morning, out the door at 5 o'clock. So when I'm off, I'm still up that early and everybody's still sleeping. And that's when I got a solid 2 or 3 hours to work on things before people start waking up. And that's when I got to force myself to do that. But how do you manage it? Dude, this is not what's my primary source of income, right? So I can't put it first as much as I want to. This the day job comes first. The family priorities do come first. But there are times through the day that you interweave and you find little morsels of time to work on it.
Yeah. All right, cool. Mr. McPhee, how you feeling about this?
Well, you just make time for it, period. I work at 9 to 5, and once I get off at 9 to 5, get home, it's like you might have to give up that hour worth of TV time. You might have to give up that hour worth of sitting down and just vegging out. You just have to make time for it. It's just nothing other. I can't say anything else, because even on the weekends, I put maybe anywhere between 6 to 8 hours on this stuff. Like even while we're doing this show, I'm sitting here inking. So it's like just make time for it. If you're really trying to get things done and get things out, you find a way to do it. Period. Now the discouragement stuff, that's a different.
I think you're always doing it. Yeah,
that's a different story about the discouragement, because I know that Brian K. Morris talked about that. I suffer from what a lot of times that's referred to imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And I think so much worse of myself as not being good enough in this industry than I really should say in actuality. And I really dedicate myself when I have that time to sit down and do this stuff. I really sit down and do it, because I know for a fact, I know I have to get better. I have to make this better than what I did the time before, and the time before that, and the time before that, because it's not easy for me. And then when people come back and make the snide little comments, I have to learn how not to take that to heart. I have to look at it from this standpoint. I'm the one that has 6 issues in one series, 5 in another, 4 in another. They have nothing.
Right.
I have to look at it in that logical aspect and say, I'm the one that have to keep on going. They don't have to do a darn thing. They're trying to weaponize just a snide little comment. But you coming out with that next book is your biggest weapon. Prove them wrong.
Well said.
Yep.
Well said.
Marvin?
So I think that like the work from home thing has really saved me on this kind of stuff, because my 3 hours of commute time has been rolled over into comic work.
Nice.
So my not having to commute to work has been a really boon for me with my time allocation, and also that hour and a half when I got off work, when I would just sit and stare at the wall, trying to decompress from work. So, and then the about discouragement. I mean, I just look to everyone else, like you guys and anybody else that I'm following on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram for motivation. Like when I see somebody else popping out with some new stuff, I'm like, oh, that's good. Let me get some stuff done today because I don't want to get left behind while everybody else is running the gamut right now. Like everybody's got a gauntlet they have to run. And if you can run it together, it makes it that much easier.
True. All right.
So if somebody's feeling discouragement, shoot me a message on Facebook or whatever. Let's talk.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. That's actually very nice of you. Yeah. I mean, it's always good because sometimes I think we all fall into these creative funks and we need to support one another. And So I'm gonna take this down so we can see Damien as he answers the question.
Lucky he'd never take that down for me, Damien.
No, I wouldn't. Nah. You're lucky I can't put it up just over that little X right there. You're lucky.
The reason everything's happening in April is because I gave into a lot of this. I had a lot of stuff going on, but I also had a lot of depression and I didn't allocate my time well. I needed a dedicated workspace. I needed to believe that I was producing something that wasn't horrible. I fell into a really bad depression, and the only things that got me out of that was making more comics. That's why I did this. That's why I joined up, because I was in that discouraged place. I was in that place where I hated everything I did, everything. I went to work, I came home, I'd sit at my computer, I'd hold a pencil in my hand because I worked on a screen, and I couldn't do it because I let myself believe all the negativity and everything that weighed on me, put me in a place where I couldn't. And I had stuff that was just piling up, as far as expectations of me as an artist, as a comic maker. It took a lot of going out and finding a place that had a good energy, and maybe just getting a cup of coffee and sitting there with a pencil and a piece of paper till it happened. And sometimes it was forced. Sometimes I forced myself to do it because it's who I am. Doing this when I was working, I lost my job because of COVID back in October.
Sorry.
When I was working, it was snatching time when I had it. Keeping the energy up, trying to keep that going. When I lost that job, it still didn't become full-time because I was working through some of that stuff. And so it was just sitting down in my space. This is where I make comics. This is what I'm doing now. This is the time I have allotted, but also not pressuring myself. Not saying I have to create the best thing ever in my life, or I'm going to die. Because that's where the depression and everything came in. So the only thing I can say is that allot your time. Time management is key, I think, in making comics. Period. If you're working a day job, and if it's what you love, I don't have hobbies. I make comics. I draw. I'm getting into action figure making because I had to make a hobby. And what am I doing? I'm making people's characters, and I'm making other people's indie characters because it's fun, and time management, finding a way to make it work for you. I don't think anybody has everybody has a different scenario that works. I'm sorry, I'm eating time, but everybody has their own thing that works for them, and it's just trying different stuff and finding it. Once you find that sweet spot, you'll know how to get back in that sweet spot, and you can work from there.
All right.
Hopefully that made sense. Sorry.
It does. It does.
Yeah,
No, that was really cool.
I apologize. I was getting up in my own head a little bit. And I was like,
All right.
No,
We'll get
man.
there.
No problem.
Yeah. That's cool. Alfred.
Yeah, me. What happened?
No, I don't.
Nah.
Do you want me to pop up the question, or you good?
Yeah, I remember the question. Yeah, I love writing comics. I mean, for me, it's 24 hours. I mean, I'm more or less gotta try to find time to work in between me writing comics. I mean, I really enjoy the process of comics. I'm very competitive, so anything could set me off. Any new comic book coming out, or if I need inspiration, I'm a big '90s comic book guy, so I go back to the Wildstorm, early Image comic books, and I might break out, early some editions of Wildcats, or break out Mutant Genesis, and get some inspiration, or the news. My comic book really reflects on what's going on in current events. So I could watch the news and hear about something going on, and be like, hey, that's an angle. So, for me, I have so much enjoyment writing my comic books that it's more or less I gotta find time not to do it. I gotta find time to cut it off and say, spend time with the wife and go to dinner, or work my day job or something, So with the interaction, with the internet, things are coming in all times of the day. Most of your artists is overseas or something like that. So in the middle of the night, you're getting artwork and pages and popping up and doing edits and 3 a.m. and sending them back and doing changes and stuff like that. So I love the process. So I mean, I've never been discouraged about it. It's been years that it kind of went slow and other things come up. Of course, you have kids and family and stuff like that. But I 100% love the process of writing comic books. It's the excitement in it for me, and then I'm so competitive when I see other people doing stuff. I'm like, nah, I want to compete with whatever's coming out and whoever's out at the time.
Competition's a good thing.
Competition's a good thing. I gotta compete with Evan now. Now I'm back down the ladder. I got this guy with the silence, and I gotta jump back in the ladder now.
Yeah, people think that's like, oh my God, competition is bad. Just because I want to compete with you doesn't mean I hate you. You can play a bowl game, and then when you're done, still have a beer.
No, well,
yeah.
Competition keeps the fuel alive. That's what keeps your energy going. You know what I'm saying? I've been around Marvin Wayne for years. I mean, the guy, it's one of the people that keeps me into comic books with the edge and his energy. And we've been having this we've been back and forth for years on these titles. And those are the type of things that keep you going. You see other people doing well, and you look at that and be like, if they could do it, I could do it. So competition, you're not looking at competition as negative. You look at competition as a way for you not to be discouraged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's an excellent point of view.
Yep. Now, Evan, how do you deal with it? Your question. How do you deal with it?
Previously, if anything negative occurred in my life, I would dwell on it, and I would let it be my undoing. And I'm a person of faith now, and when something doesn't go my way, I realize it's for a reason, not to stress about it. That being said, on days where maybe, I'm frustrated with work or, a certain situation, now I sort of channel that and I fuel that. And my best writing days are the days where I'm, angry, motivated, frustrated. That's when the best stuff comes out. So you sort of take something that's negative and turn it into a positive.
Nice.
Cool. Nice.
And I think also, no matter what, try to at least do something comics related every day, no matter, what it might be. Just to keep your head in the game.
Yep.
I always suggest at least 1 hour a day. If you could do 1 hour a day, you're pretty good, because over the course of a year, you're going to get stuff done.
It accumulates, yes.
Yeah.
All right. Randy, you're up.
I do a lot of commercial work out of my house, and signage and vinyl work, that kind of thing. And it's always during the most mundane parts of doing that job that I have my most creative flashes. So you keep a couple of notebooks with you, always handy, little spiral notebooks.
Yeah.
Even if you just take a couple seconds out to sketch out a cover or whatever you need to do, and then you get right back to work, and you work for that, getting that work done and getting that that check in. The business I'm in is incredibly feast or famine. I'm either booked up for weeks or I have nothing going on. So you keep those notes and you wait until there's nothing going on, and then you jump right on your passion project and you just do it until the next job comes in. Right now, I got a bunch of aisle signs that have crept up that are probably going to take me 3 or 4 days to do. And I'm putting them off for as long as possible because I'm working on this Arrow Comics stuff. And thank goodness I think I've got the campaign done, just down to a few misspellings. But get that out there and under Indiegogo's nose here tomorrow, hopefully. Nice, and then, once things get a little calm, I'll jump on them signs because I know it's going to take a couple days. But
all right.
Nice.
Yeah, you gotta. There is a balance. There's always a balance. It's just like dealing with your wife or anything else. You have to find that mode and that part where you're working and you're not working. One thing I did, before I stopped talking, one thing I have discovered over the last few years is that quality time is incredibly valuable. So if you've got that mundane job that you have to do, get up a couple hours early when you're crisp and work on that passion project, and then stop and go do the commercial work. That's what I do.
Yep.
All right, cool. So there we are, gentlemen. We made it to the end. All right, so we can wrap it up. So, Mr. JD Rosario, where can they find you and your work?
Okay, you can find Unstoppable Comics at unstoppablecomics.com. Unstoppable Comics on Facebook, Unstoppable Comics on Instagram, and you can find me at Instagram under J the Unstoppable, JAYTHE Unstoppable.
Nice. Mr. McPhee, where can they find you and your work?
They can find me on Facebook up under JD McPhee. They can find the company page up under CGC Studios. They can catch up with everything that we do on our company webpage at cgcstudios.com. I'm also on DeviantArt as well. And for those who do keep up with our YouTube show from the Desk of the Small Press Publisher, every Saturday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, or actually now Central Daylight Time, since we did the daylight savings already.
All right, cool. Marvin?
Yes, sir. You can find me at The Edge Comic on Facebook and Instagram, and at Marvin Wynn on Twitter.
Cool. Damien?
You can just search for me online. I'm easy to find. RUOmniversal.com, Realm Rex on Instagram, Studio Hubris on Twitter. I'm doing the website overhaul for next month. So April's going to be the month.
Thanks.
Cool. Evan?
You can find.
Hey.
Over Alfred there.
Oh, Alfred. I'm sorry about that, man.
Hey, man. Hey, I just said I'm underneath Evan. I just said Evan's up here. I'm down here. This is what I mean. This is the prime example.
Evan just pushing you down. Sorry about that, Alfred. Go ahead.
Nah, no problem. You can find me at Page Alfred on Facebook. You can follow me at Project Chess on Project Chess Facebook page. You can look for Chess and Blowtorch with Second Sight Publishing. Issue 1 came out. Issue 2, both issue 2s will be out next month in previews and diamonds. You can always follow up with that. And we're just looking to have a bang out 2021. So we're looking forward to it.
Nice.
All right, cool. Evan, I'm sorry. Now's your turn. This is
You should have skipped Evan and went to Randy.
Oh, nice.
This is why I was thinking of Evan, because he sent me this, and I figured I would pull it up.
Nice.
So.
Thank you for the plug. Yeah, this is the Tales from Kara Prime Kickstarter going live April 13th. You can sign up for the pre-launch right now at karaprime.com. I've got a very cool story, Rise Again, featuring the character Red Hawk with art by Stefano Cardistelli.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, can I add one more thing real quick?
Of course.
If anybody's in the Florida, Tampa, Clearwater area, I will be at Emerald Comics in Clearwater on March 27th doing a signing for Chess and Blowtorch 1.
Oh, very
So
nice.
if anybody, I don't know where the staff here lives, but if anybody's in the Florida area, come on down. We'll have exclusive covers, limited exclusive covers for Chess 1 and Blowtorch 1 at the signing.
Nice. All right, Randy. Where can he find you in your work?
You can find me on Facebook under Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on Twitter under Randy Zim with 2 M's. You can find Arrow Comics 4.0 at the Arrow Comics 4.0 page on Facebook and the Arrow Comics 4.0 page or channel on YouTube. I just posted our campaign video for the Indy Revolt book. That'll be offered here shortly. We put together a collection of regular contributors to the Indy Volt radio network into and took their work and put them all into one book, and we'll be offering that here starting next week. There'll be a 60-day program, and once it's done, and we'll get that book printed and get it out to folks. And that's the start of Arrow Comics 4.0. That'll be the first Arrow comic book out. Other than that, I'm on the Indy Volt Radio Network Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and Thursday mornings at 9 a.m., where Varian Grant and I talk about comics and stuff on the Breakfast Buzz. And then Sunday mornings at 9 a.m., I do a program where we talk about the lighter and more whimsical side of comics. And we have a lot of, we're trying to get a good variety of guests on and keep the discussion light and lively on the Sunday Funnies. That's at 9 a.m. You can get to that through the indyvolt.com website. You can ask Alexa for Indy Volt Radio. She'll hook you up. And just there's apps from Streama and Google Store for all of that stuff. But it's the Indy Volt Radio Network. So,
all right, cool. All right, so thank you everybody for showing up. Like, look, I'm gonna show them one more time. Going up on Indiegogo tomorrow.
There we go.
You know?
Yay! Show
There
the
you go.
book.
Show the book. So,
right.
Thank you so much for being here, guys. I'll talk to you all soon. Jay, stop me mugging me.
Long day for me, brother. Long day. I'm sorry.
I know. But thank all you. Thank you to all you guys, man. I mean, this was awesome. So, once again, see you all soon.
All right.
Good night.
Later.
Take care. Stay
Good night.
healthy, everybody.